Hello, 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 everyone. It is Teresa from Teresa's Spot for Art, where I love sharing art from my heart and teaching you how to create a little joy in your life through some fun, simple, and quick art projects. Welcome to Candy Cane Lane YouTube collaboration. I want to thank our host, Monica from Up All Night DIY, Dawn from Shabby Meets Bling, and Indie Annie Jones. All their YouTube channels are in the description below, as well as the playlist. And I hope you have time and enjoy watching the playlist and subscribe to all the creatives in it, including myself. I'm going to turn you guys around now, and we are going to get started. Okay, I have out a pre-traced canvas. We are doing a Nutcracker today. As usual, all my kits come with a pre-traced canvas, or if you're painting with me online, you get the tracers. You can do the pre-traced canvas yourself. I'm going to dip in here in a little bit of black. I'm using a fairly large brush because I have a lot of area to cover to start out with, and I'm just going to paint around this entire Nutcracker with black. Don't fret if you get some on him. If you need a smaller brush, that is totally okay. This is acrylic paint, and you can fix anything. I am probably going to get a smaller brush when I go down there in it where his arm is, and that's okay. Come around here by the shoulder and down. I paint on a Lazy Susie, so I can turn my canvas and not my arm while I paint. It makes it much easier. While I am at it, I'm going to paint the edges of my canvas as well. You don't have to paint your edges. You can if you want. It is totally up to you. I'm just getting into my black paint, and I'm going to paint all the edges of my canvas. Now I'm just going to switch to my smaller brush and do this little section in here next to both arms. And then I'm going to wash this brush because this is the brush that I'm going to continue with, I think. Okay, I have out some red on my palette, and we're going to start with that at the top of the hat. So let me turn him around again. The beauty of having a Lazy Susie. Now you can use two different reds for this if you want. I am using just Tuscan red because we're going to be adding in some gold and some black and some white highlights. And so I'm okay just using one red. If you want to use two different reds for this, and so you have some darker and some lighter, that is totally up to you. If your black is still wet and you happen to pull a little bit of black onto your red part of your hat, that is also okay because we're actually going to be adding some black to our hat. I'm just going around. I'm using my brush, standing up on the chisel edge to mark out this section of the hat that I want to do in red. And now I'm just going to fill it in. Now I'm going to come down here, and we're going to do his, I don't know, his jacket, I guess. So I'm going to mark in this spot up here, and we're going to add in all the red. If you needed to use a smaller brush or you wanted to use a round brush, go right ahead, whatever you're comfortable with. I will say, if you use a very small brush on an area that needs a larger brush, you're going to have a lot of brush strokes. So just beware. You have more control over a smaller brush, but you have to pick, so you still have to pick the right brush because otherwise it's going to take you forever. and you're going to have way too many brush strokes. Whenever I go back to my palette, I'm constantly putting a little bit of pressure on my brush because I want my fibers of my brush to be together. I want my brush to be nice and neat. If your brush is a big wonky mess, it's going to be harder to make these strokes. Sometimes our brush gets a little filled up with paint and we have to wipe it off on the paper towel and then come back to our paint and load it up with paint again. But you want your brush to be neat and together. Okay? Don't worry if you go out of the lines like I just did. It's acrylic paint and you can fix anything. And I'm just carefully going in. I'm tracing in these diamond shapes and then I'm filling them in with paint. I move around a lot. So while one section of my painting is drying, I will move to another section and then I'll bounce back and finish that section. It's just how I do it. A little bit of red in there and then a little bit here. I think it makes it easier. Plus, usually when I paint from the bottom up, layers on top of layer on top of layer. This way, as we work our way up, if we need to fix something or tweak something or there's something that we don't like, I paint in a specific order also so that we can fix whatever it is that we need to fix. And of course, when we get to the top, that's when we add all our really cool details and our painting really comes to life. We don't judge our painting until it's done. There's lots that needs to be added to it, so we're not going to get upset about if we go out of the line down here or the line up there. It's all totally okay. Okay? I'm not even going to wash my brush, but I am going to come over here and I'm going to dip it in the black. And I'm just going to now add a little black. It's practically dry on my brush. I'm pulling in some black from both sides. And my brush is hardly has any paint on it at all. And I'm just dirtying up the hat. Adding a little bit of black to it. Okay? And you can do as much or as little of this as you want. We have more details to add to the hat, so we're not going to get too upset. If you add too much black, just back it up and come back with red when it dries. Okay? Now I'm going to grab a Sharpie. I'm going to Sharpie in my eyes. So that we'll be able to see them. Okay, and everything else I'm going to go around. I'm going to put out a little bit of this coral shell. You can use whatever color you want for the face. I'm using this decor.Spice coral shell. You know what else I'm going to do? 1 second. I'm also going to Sharpie over the eyebrows. I'm going to load my brush, keeping it nice and neat with this coral shell. And we're going to come in, we're going to start painting in our Nutcracker's face. If you get some on the eyebrows, it's totally okay because you will be able to see them now because we covered them with Sharpie, and the black paint, when we're ready to paint them in, will cover right over any of this coral we may get on our eyebrows. I'm going to be as neat as I can to go around the facial expressions and the mustache, but it's okay if it's not perfect. I'll come in here on my mustache. when we paint our mustache and our eyes and our nose, that's when we will worry about if we need to clean anything up or make any adjustments to our eyes or our nose or our mustache. Now I'm going to take a little bit of red, just a little bit. I'm going to bring it over here and I'm going to make a pink color. Adding it to my coral, I'm going to make this pinky color here, and I am going to put a circle in here for his cheeks. If you wanted to do a dauber for this, you can. I'm just pushing my brush down and turning it one way and then the other way for the cheeks. Now I'm going to paint in the nose. And then I think I'm going to switch brushes. Where's my little brush? And now I'm going to come down here and I'm going to paint in the mouth. I'm switching to a little brush so I can get in here. And again, don't worry if you mess up a little bit. When we come back with our black and the rest of our details, we work in layers, okay? I'm adding a little bit more red into here because I want the bottom part down here to be a little bit deeper red. I equate painting to a pizza. It's this little analogy I came up with recently where you're not going to eat your pizza raw. And it's the same way we're not going to judge our painting until it's done. And so our surface is our crust. Our base coating is our sauce and our cheese when we're color blocking everything in. And then the details that make our painting pop and our pizza taste good is the toppings. And that is all the little details that we put in at the end. So we don't judge and we don't get upset. We just keep going and then it all comes together at the end. I spilled some water when I moved my water cups, right? But we'll just dab it up and it'll dry and it's all good. I'm going to get some of this blue paint that I have on this other palette and I'm going to paint the eyes in blue. I'm using my little liner brush for this. I know there's black and white in the eyes, but we're just going to base coat them in blue for now. Okay. Now I'm going to go into my gold paint. Again, I'm going to apply a little bit of pressure to my brush. I want the fibers on my brush to be nice and neat, and I want a decent amount of paint in my brush. This is 14 karat gold paint from Folk Art. It is my favorite gold paint. I'm painting in the shoulders. Put out some white. I'm just going to pick up a little bit of white on one corner of my brush, and I just want to add some highlight in here. One corner And I'm making like a parenthesis on one side and a parenthesis on the other side, just to add a little too much white there, a little bit of highlight to our gold. Okay. I'm going to keep with my gold, and I'm going to do these 2 rows on the hat trim. So I'm using my brush on the chisel edge, and I'm coming right across. And our hat, the trim part sticks out a tiny bit. And then we're just going to do this one. Again, don't worry if you go out of the lines. We have a lot more detail and shading and highlighting to add to our art. Okay, now that I'm done with my gold, I think I'm probably going to have to come back and do a second coat, but I'm going to leave it for now, and I'm going to switch to black. So I get out my medium round brush. I'm going to roll it in my paint, and I'm going to start here with the collar because I'm going to let my gold up top dry a little bit. So just adding in this part of the collar. Then we're going to do these 2 lines on his jacket. Same thing on this side. And this is one of those things, like if you see yourself and one side is thicker than the other, you just have to go with it. Because if you start fixing one side and then you want to fix the other side and then you want to fix the other side, before you know it, you won't have any red left and your entire jacket will be black. So sometimes you just have to be like, okay, it's good. They're even enough. Okay, because I'll be here all day. Fix the right, fix the left, fix the right, fix the left. And then before you know it, your jacket is completely wonky. So this is not fine art, it is fun art, and sometimes you just have to be, okay, good to go. All right, now I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to do the top of the hat. I saved this part while my gold dried a little bit, but I am going to have to do my gold a second coat. And don't worry about that pink on there because I'm going to show you we have lots to add to the background. The background on this painting is really fun. I'm going to show you what I did, but you can actually do whatever you want on the background. Okay. Okay, it's starting to come together. Give that little white and that little black, and it's all good. It's okay. Just covered it right up. It's good to go. All right. Now I'm probably going to use this brush, and we're going to do his eyebrows. And again, if your eyebrows are a little bit uneven, just go with it. You start fixing one, and then his eyebrows just take over his whole face. Okay, and now we're going to do the mustache. Have a nice flat part up here. Then we want it skinny, and then it gets fatter. And I do that just by light pressure and then heavy pressure on my brush. And this is what I meant before. If you didn't like your lips or you didn't like something on the face, when we come back in and we start adding in all these details, all that gets fixed. Okay. Ooh. How cool is that? Okay. I'm going to come back in here. I'm going to grab my brush and I'm going to do a second coat of my gold. I'm not even making this a complete second coat. I'm just coming back in here and I'm just brushing over some gold. Over the first coat, but I'm not even like worrying about it or doing it perfect. I'm just adding to it, and it's just giving me a nice enhanced look for my gold. It doesn't have to be perfect. I need to get more gold out, but just roughly going back over it is totally enough coverage. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to my liner brush. I'm going to pick up a little bit of black, and we want to kind of outline the tops of the shoulders. So I'm coming in here with a scoop, and then I'm coming up here with a scoop, just so we can see the top part of the shoulder. Okay. I'm going to start adding in some white highlights. I'm going to use my liner brush for this. I get my nice fresh white, and I'm going to add in some highlights to our hat. Okay. I'm going to come in and add in a little bit of highlight to the brim of our hat. Okay. I'm going to add in a little bit of highlight to each of the cheeks. I'm going to add some highlight to the nose. A little bit under here to the mouth. A little bit to the mustache. Going to add a little bit up here to the tops of the shoulders, and then a little bit to the front of the shoulders, just like we did the white the first time, and then a little bit of white to the arms. I'm going to take the back of my brush with my black, and I'm going to draw little circles for the eyes inside the blue. Sometimes it's easier to draw these little circles with the back of our brush than it is with the brush part. Okay. I'm also going to take a little bit of black, and I'm going to outline the outline of the eyes. Now, if this is too hard for you, you can skip this part. You can wait for your painting to dry and then do it with a Posca paint pen or a Sharpie, or you can leave it. Totally up to you. I'm using this little liner brush, and I'm just lightly going around. And I'm going to leave them to dry again because We have to add the white, but that all has to be dry before we do that. Now I have the black on my brush. I'm going to add a little bit of black in here to the shoulders and down here on the sleeves. Ooh. And I'm going to take, oh, I need more gold. Isn't it really starting to come to life now, you guys? I love how then it just all of a sudden you start adding in all these little details, all these little pizza toppings, and your painting just starts to come to life. I'm going to use the back of my brush with the gold, and I'm going to put little tiny dots on the red down here on the side of the jacket. Ooh. And then the same thing on this side. Then if you have a pouncer, you can use a pouncer, or you can use the brush if you want. But I'm going to come in here, I'm going to put these bigger dots with my little pouncer here. You can draw these with the back of the brush like we did with the eye. Totally up to you. I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to adorn the jacket with these gold dots. When I use my pouncer or my dauber, I'm just giving a little bit of a twist. Now I'm going to put a little bit of white on my brush and a little bit of gold on my brush. And I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to do the X's. So white and gold, and I'm going to do the X's on the jacket. These do not have to be perfect. A little bit more gold. Okay. And I'm just going to get a little bit of red and fix that right there. See? Easy peasy. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Okay. Now with this brush, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to add a little bit of gold. And then a little bit of black. Okay. Over here, just want to dirty it up. A little bit more gold. Okay. Now we're going to come up to the top of the hat. You can use your pouncer again if you want, or you can use your brush if you want. I'm going to make dots. Now you can leave these dots as the only decoration on the hat that you have, and that's totally fine. Or you can get your round brush and you can add these little V's on each side, all four sides of your dot, and then a little dot inside each one of them to put a little bit of a decoration on the top of the hat. So we put a dot. Now we're just putting these V's. And then I'm going to go back and put one more dot inside each V. Like I said, if you don't want to do these, you can have just left your hat plain, or you can just put the one big dot to begin with. Okay, now we're going to start on the outside. So I'm just coming in here. You want to leave a decent sized frame around your Nutcracker. Okay, and I'm just going to come in here with my finger and I'm just going to start rubbing this in. If you want to use your brush, you can. It's totally up to you. But I'm smudging in. I'm adding some, oh, I did it with my finger. some gold and some white paint, and I'm smudging it all in on the outside here with my finger. Okay, you want to leave a little bit of a margin around your nutcracker. And if you mess it up, it's okay. You can just come back in with black. And we're just adding in. So I'm going to come in here again and down. Then I'm going to pick up some white. And this could not be any messier. If you don't want to use your finger, you don't have to use your finger. You can use your brush, but you want to use a bit of a dry brush. This is supposed to look messy and fun. I'm bringing it up to the top. Down that. Let me get some more gold in here and a little bit more white. Yep. And I'm just following the shape on the outside of the nutcracker. Make a little bit more gold, and I'm just rubbing it in with my one finger. I'm a messy painter anyway, so I don't mind. And I'm just going to come up here. Let me get a little bit of gold and just rub it in across the top. I need a little more gold paint. So I want a little bit more gold on that side. You don't want complete coverage. You still want to be able to see the black. I'm going to wash my brush because I want to come in here and just take a little bit of black and fix that. Just that part. I got a little too close. I forgot the little white lines here before on his collar. I'm going to come right under there, right under here. Okay. I'm going to take the back of my brush and I'm going to put the little white dot on this side. And then I'm going to put the white dot on that side. And that just makes his eyes pop. Isn't that cool? And then you can go back to your dauber if you want. And I'm going to add in some big, fat snowflakes. You can use a smaller dauber. You can skip this. Oh, totally up to you. I'm just going to wipe that up. I'm going to rub that in, and we will fix that. Okay. Little black. Little red. And we're good. And there we go. How fun is that? There is our nutcracker. Let me turn you guys around. Thank you for joining me. Wasn't this fun? Thank you to our hosts, Monica from Up All Night DIY, Dawn with Shabby Meets Bling, and Indiana Jones. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel as well as all of theirs. I hope you enjoyed the playlist and give everyone a like and a subscribe. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.